Hey everyone! Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at some super rare and valuable UK coins. These might look like normal coins, but some are worth hundreds or even thousands of pounds. You could have one in your pocket right now. Let's find out which coins to look for. Let's kick things off with a coin that's not just rare but can be worth thousands. The 1977 new Pence 2p coin. Now, you might be thinking, what's so special about a 2p coin? Well, it's all about the little details. In 1971, the UK made a huge change by revaluing their currency, moving from the old pre-decimal system to the new decimal system. They introduced new coins as part of this change, like the 2p coin. But here's the thing about the 1977 new Pence 2p coin, it was supposed to have the wording "the new pence" on it. However, in 1971, when the coin was first designed, the words "new pence" were meant to be used only until 1981. And that's where things get interesting. In 1977, some of these coins were struck with the word "new pence", but others mistakenly had just pence. You see, the Royal Mint had planned to stop using "new pence" after 1981, but due to a mistake during the minting process, some coins were still struck with the "new pence" wording, even in 1977. This made them much rarer and a highly sought-after collector's item. So, what makes this 1977 new Pence 2p coin so valuable? Well, if you happen to find one of the rare coins that says a new pence instead of pence, you could be sitting on a small fortune. These coins can sell for as much as £1,022 at auction. Imagine finding one of these coins in your spare change. It's like discovering a hidden gem right in your pocket. The value comes from the mistake, so that small error can make a huge difference in price. Coins like this one highlight how a tiny detail can make all the difference when it comes to rarity and value. It's not just about the age of the coin, either. While many coins from the 70s are still floating around, not all of them are valuable. In fact, most of them are still only worth their face value or maybe a little more in terms of collector interest. But this particular 1977 new Pence 2p coin? It stands out because of that subtle minting error. And that's why it can fetch such an impressive price. It's fascinating to think how something as small as a printing mistake could create a coin worth more than 500 times its face value. But that's what makes coin collecting so exciting. The value often lies in the little things. It's about paying attention to the details, understanding the history, and knowing which coins to keep an eye on. So, what should you do if you find one of these coins in your change? Well, first of all, don't spend it. Keep it safe and take a closer look. The 1977 new Pence 2p coin could be worth more than a few pounds to the right collector. If you're not sure if yours is the rare version, you can always get it evaluated or take it to a coin expert. It's always a good idea to check your coins carefully, even the ones you think are too common to be valuable. Coins with small errors, misprints, or unique features can sometimes surprise you, turning a humble 2p into a serious collector's item. Next up, we have another interesting coin, the 5 new pence from 1970. Now, this one might be a little more common than the ultra-rare 1977 new Pence 2p, but it's still definitely worth talking about because of its historical significance and its rarity. In 1970, the UK was still in the process of transitioning from the old pre-decimal currency system to the new decimal system, and the 5 new pence coin was one of the first to feature the new design after decimalization. So, what makes this coin unique? Well, it has a design that's rich in meaning. The coin features a beautiful design of a rose, thistle, shamrock, and leek, symbols representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. This was a nod to the unity of the 4 nations that make up the United Kingdom. However, here's the kicker: because of the way these coins were produced and how many were minted, some of the 5 new pence coins from 1970 were struck with a slight error. These errors were typically related to the size and shape of the coin. Some coins were struck a little thinner than intended, while others had a misalignment during the minting process. Now, these small minting errors are what make the coin more valuable. Coins with errors like these are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and less common. A 5 new pence coin from 1970 that's in perfect condition might not be worth a huge amount, but if you have one with an error, then that's a whole different story. Depending on the condition of the coin and whether it has one of these minting errors, the 5 new pence from 1970 could be worth anywhere between £50 and £200, maybe even more for one that's in mint, uncirculated condition. You see, the value of coins like this isn't just about the year or the design. It's all about how rare they are and how well they've been preserved. The condition of a coin can dramatically change its value. A coin with slight wear might still be worth something, but one that's never been in circulation, or one that's in near perfect condition, can fetch a much higher price. So, if you happen to come across a 5 new pence from 1970 in your spare change, don't just toss it into a jar and forget about it. Take a closer look. Check for any flaws, any signs of misalignment, or if it's thinner than usual. These errors, while small, can make a big difference when it comes to its value. Even if the coin looks pretty standard at first glance, it's worth doing a bit of research or getting it evaluated. Sometimes, a seemingly ordinary coin can turn out to be worth far more than expected. And remember, it's not always the most obvious errors that add value, sometimes it's the tiny, subtle ones that collectors are after. Collectors are always looking for coins with imperfections that make them stand out. And the 5 new pence from 1970 is one of those coins that could hide a valuable mistake just beneath its surface. Let's move on to another interesting coin, the 1968 10 new pence. This one's a bit of a transitional coin in the history of UK currency. In 1968, the UK was still operating under the old pre-decimal currency system, but they were getting ready to switch to decimal currency, which would officially happen in 1971. The 10 new pence coin was introduced in 1968 as part of this change, marking the beginning of the new decimal system. Now, you might be wondering why this particular coin is so valuable. Well, there are two main reasons: the design and the number of coins that were minted. The 1968 10 new pence coin wasn't produced in huge quantities, so it's relatively rare. In the world of coin collecting, the rarity of a coin can play a massive role in its value. Coins that are produced in smaller numbers are usually more sought after by collectors. But here's where things get even more interesting. Originally, the 10 new pence coin was designed to be larger in size, but it ended up being made smaller due to a change in the minting process. The smaller size was actually more popular with the public, and as a result, many of these coins were circulated widely. While the 10 new pence coin might seem like a common coin today, some of them are surprisingly rare in pristine condition. And that's where the value comes into play. The key to understanding the value of this coin lies in its condition. Coins that have been in circulation for a long time are typically worn down, making them less valuable. However, coins like the 1968 10 new pence that are in good or even excellent condition can be worth significantly more. In fact, depending on the state of the coin, a 1968 10 new pence could be worth anywhere from £10 to £150, or possibly even more for a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition. So, why the big difference in value? Well, collectors are always after coins that are in the best possible condition, and coins that show minimal signs of wear and tear are considered more valuable. That's why a 1968 10 new pence coin that has been carefully preserved and hasn't been used much could fetch a much higher price than one that has been in circulation for years. Now, if you have a 1968 10 new pence in your collection, it's important to examine the condition of the coin closely. Even slight wear on the coin surface can significantly lower its value. For example, if the design is still clear and sharp, with little to no signs of scratches, dents, or fading, the coin will likely be worth more. On the other hand, a coin that has been heavily circulated and shows signs of wear, such as faded details or worn edges, might only be worth its face value or a bit more, depending on demand. If you're unsure about the condition of your coin, you can always have it professionally evaluated by a coin expert or take it to a trusted dealer for a second opinion. Now let's talk about another fascinating coin, the 1980 50 new pence coin. This one's a bit different from some of the others we've looked at because of its historical significance. The 50p coin was actually first introduced back in 1969, but in 1980 it underwent a major change. Up until 1980, the 50p coin had a traditional round shape, like most coins. But in 1980, the Royal Mint decided to shake things up by introducing a new 50p coin with a 7-sided shape, also known as a heptagonal shape. This was a major redesign, and it made the coin much more recognizable. We're all familiar with the distinctive 7-sided shape today, but it all started in 1980. Now, the 1980 50 new pence is especially interesting because it was the very last year that the round 50p coin was in circulation. So, if you come across a round 50p from 1980, you're holding a piece of history, the final round version before the new heptagonal design took over. While this coin isn't as rare as some of the others we've discussed, it can still fetch a premium, especially if it's in great condition. In terms of value, a 1980 round 50p coin typically won't break the bank, but it's worth more than just its face value. Depending on the condition of the coin, you could see it sell anywhere between £3 to £15. Of course, the better the condition, the higher the price. And if you happen to have one that's in perfect, uncirculated condition, the price could rise even higher. So, what makes the difference in value? As with most coins, the condition plays a big role. Coins that have been in circulation for a while will naturally show signs of wear and tear. They might have scratches, dents, or fading on the design. These coins, while still valuable, won't be worth as much as one that stayed in mint condition, never being used in everyday transactions. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins in pristine condition because they're rarer. So if you've got a round 50p from 1980 sitting in your collection or your change jar, it's worth taking a good look at it. A coin that's well preserved could be worth more than you think. It's also important to mention that while the 1980 round 50p coin is the last of its kind, it isn't the only coin in the series with an interesting history. The heptagonal 50p coins that followed have their own value, too, especially limited edition versions or coins with unique errors. But there's something particularly special about the final round coin from 1980, it marks the end of an era. If you're someone who enjoys collecting coins, keep an eye out for this one. Even though it might not make you rich, the 1980 round 50p is still a nice piece of British numismatic history. And who knows? It might just turn out to be a valuable addition to your collection, especially if you've got one in fantastic condition. And that's it for today's look at some of the UK's most expensive and rare coins. But here's the key takeaway, it's not just about how old a coin is. Things like the design, mistakes in minting, and the condition of the coin really make a difference in its value. Whether it's a 1977 new pence 2p worth over £1,000 or a 5 new pence from 1970 with some small errors, always keep an eye out when you're handling your coins. Thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more fun coin facts. Remember, treasure is closer than you think, and it might just be sitting in your pocket. See you next time.